Welcome back to Sleepy Stories, where history whispers gently through the centuries to help you drift into peaceful slumber. I'm your guide through the quieter corners of the past, where each tale is crafted to slow your thoughts and ease your mind into rest. Tonight, we're stepping into the candlelit chambers and moonlit monasteries of medieval Europe, where sleep held mysteries we've almost forgotten. If you find comfort in these historical lullabies, please give this video a gentle like and subscribe to join our community of curious dreamers. Your support helps us continue exploring the fascinating ways our ancestors understood the world of sleep and dreams. Tonight's journey will reveal something quite extraordinary about medieval sleep, something that might change how you think about your own nights of rest. We'll discover why medieval people actually slept in two distinct periods each night, separated by hours of quiet wakefulness they called the watch. But that's just the beginning of our exploration into the rich tapestry of medieval sleep beliefs, dream interpretations, and the gentle superstitions that guided our ancestors through their nightly journeys. So settle in comfortably, let your breathing slow, and prepare to be transported to a time when sleep was understood as a sacred gateway between worlds. A time when dreams carried messages from the divine, and the night held both wonder and wisdom. In the hushed stillness of a medieval monastery, as the final notes of Compline fade into the stone corridors, Brother Thomas extinguishes his reading candle and settles into his narrow cot. The year is 1347, and like every person in Christendom, Thomas will not sleep through the night as we do today. Instead, he will experience what medieval people considered the natural rhythm of human rest, a gentle dance between sleep and wakefulness that honored both the body's needs and the soul's relationship with the divine. Medieval people typically slept in two distinct periods during the night, known as first sleep and second sleep, with a period of wakefulness in between. This wasn't seen as insomnia or a sleep disorder, but rather as the natural way humans were meant to rest. The practice was so common that it required no explanation in medieval texts. It was simply how sleep worked. Brother Thomas closes his eyes as the Abbey bell tower chimes the hour of 8. Around him, the dormitory settles into the familiar sounds of first sleep. The rustle of rough woolen blankets, the creak of wooden bed frames, and the gradual deepening of breathing as 30 monks begin their nightly journey into the realm of dreams. The stone walls, thick and protective, seem to embrace the sleepers as they surrender to the first phase of their rest. In the medieval understanding, sleep was far more than mere physical restoration. The sleeping brain was thought to have much reduced functioning, with the 5 senses largely shut off, as were the rational faculties and memory. The only part of the brain which remained fully active during sleep was the imagination. This made sleep a sacred time when the imagination could commune directly with the divine, unencumbered by the distractions of daily life. The physical space where medieval people slept reflected this understanding of sleep's sacred nature. If you were rich enough in the medieval era, your bed was elaborate and impressive, with several mattresses, straw, then wool, then feather, and sheets, blankets, coverlets, pillows, bolsters. But even humble beds were treated with reverence, often blessed by priests and surrounded by protective symbols. Brother Thomas's simple bed, like those of his fellow monks, faces east toward Jerusalem, following the monastic tradition that even in sleep, one should orient toward the Holy Land. His pillow, stuffed with lavender from the monastery garden, releases its gentle fragrance as he settles his head. The herb was believed not only to promote peaceful sleep, but to ward off nightmares and evil spirits that might torment the sleeping soul. As first sleep deepens around midnight, Brother Thomas enters the most profound phase of medieval rest. His breathing becomes rhythmic and deep, synchronized with the dozen other monks sharing his dormitory. In this state, medieval physicians believed the body's vital spirits could properly circulate, restoring health and vigor. The heart, freed from the demands of waking consciousness, could beat in harmony with the divine rhythm of creation itself. But sleep in medieval times was never a purely private affair. Sleepers and would-be sleepers were expected to minimize their fidgeting and avoid physical contact. Sharing sleeping spaces was common, not just among monks, but in households across medieval Europe. Parents shared beds with children, servants slept in their masters' chambers, and traveling merchants bedded down together in rooms. This communal approach to sleep fostered a culture of consideration and quiet respect during the night hours. The monastery's rhythm reflected the broader medieval understanding of time itself. Unlike our modern rush toward continuous 8-hour sleep, medieval people moved through their nights with patient acceptance of wakefulness. When Brother Thomas naturally awakens around 1 in the morning, he doesn't fight this wakefulness or worry about lost sleep. Instead, he enters what medieval people called the watch, a sacred time of quiet contemplation between the two sleeps. For some groups, such as peasants, this period was used for practical activities. But for monks like Thomas, the watch became a time of prayer, meditation, and gentle spiritual activity. He might recite memorized psalms, contemplate the day's reading from scripture, or simply lie quietly in gratitude for the day's blessings. This wasn't seen as insomnia, but as a natural and valuable part of the night's rhythm. The physical environment supported this gentle wakefulness. Medieval sleeping chambers were designed with small windows that allowed occupants to observe the phases of the moon and the movement of stars. Thomas can see through his narrow window that the moon is waning, which medieval wisdom associated with release and letting go, perfect for the contemplative nature of the watch period. During these quiet hours, the imagination remained partially active, creating a liminal state between waking and sleeping consciousness. Medieval people understood this as a time when the boundary between the earthly and divine realms became particularly thin. It was during the watch that many mystical experiences occurred, when saints received visions, and when ordinary people might glimpse deeper truths about their lives and spiritual journeys. The monastery's stone floors remain cold despite the season, and Thomas pulls his woolen blanket more closely around his shoulders. The weight of the heavy fabric provides comfort and security, but it also serves a practical purpose in medieval sleep culture. Heavy bedding was believed to help contain the soul during sleep, preventing it from wandering too far from the body during dreams. This wasn't superstition but serious medieval physiology. Scholars believed that during sleep, the soul could travel beyond the physical body, and proper bedding helped ensure its safe return. Around 2 in the morning, Thomas feels the gentle pull of second sleep beginning to draw him back toward deeper rest. This second phase of sleep was considered even more restorative than the first, as the body and soul had been properly prepared through the quiet contemplation of the watch. He settles back into his pillow, breathing in the lingering lavender scent, and allows his consciousness to soften once again. Second sleep often brought the most vivid and meaningful dreams. Medieval people believed that the soul, having been purified through the watch period's prayers and contemplation, was now ready to receive divine messages through dreams. Brother Thomas has learned to pay careful attention to his second sleep dreams, recording the most significant ones in a small journal that he keeps beside his bed for the monastery's dream interpreter. The quality of medieval sleep was deeply influenced by the season and the community's rhythm. During summer months, when daylight stretched long and work continued late, the first sleep began later, but was no less restorative. In winter, when darkness fell early and candles were precious, the sleep periods shifted accordingly, always maintaining the natural rhythm of rest, watch, and rest again. The sounds of the medieval night provided their own gentle lullaby. Unlike our modern world of mechanical noise, medieval nights were filled with organic sounds that actually supported deeper sleep. The distant lowing of cattle in their stalls, the soft murmur of wind through thatched roofs, the occasional call of night birds, and the comforting presence of other humans breathing nearby. These sounds created a tapestry of safety and community that modern sleep researchers recognize as conducive to deeper, more restorative rest. Brother Thomas's breathing begins to deepen as second sleep embraces him. Around him, the dormitory settles into the profound quiet that marks the deepest phase of medieval rest. In this state, medieval physicians believed the body could perform its most important healing work. The humors, blood phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile could properly balance themselves. The vital spirits could flow freely through the body's channels, carrying away the day's accumulated tensions and toxins. This understanding of sleep as a time of physical and spiritual purification influenced every aspect of medieval sleep preparation. Before retiring, Brother Thomas had washed his hands and face in blessed water, said specific prayers for protection during the night, and arranged his few possessions in order. This wasn't mere routine, but careful preparation for the sacred journey of sleep, ensuring that both body and soul were properly prepared for the night's restorative work. The medieval bed itself was understood as a kind of altar where this sacred restoration took place. Even the humblest peasant bed might be marked with a cross or contain a small relic for protection. Thomas's simple monastic bed includes a small wooden cross at its head and a piece of blessed salt sewn into his mattress. Traditional protections against nightmares and evil influences that might disturb the soul's peaceful rest. As second sleep deepens, the monastery around Brother Thomas enters its most profound quiet. This is the hour when medieval people believed the veil between worlds grew thinnest, when angels moved most freely among sleeping humans, and when the divine could most easily communicate through dreams. It's a time of sacred vulnerability, when the soul, freed from the body's demanding consciousness, could receive wisdom, healing, and guidance for the challenges ahead. The medieval understanding of sleep as a sacred practice, rather than mere biological necessity, created a culture of rest that honored both physical needs and spiritual longings. This gentle wisdom, passed down through generations of quiet nights and peaceful awakenings, reminds us that sleep itself can be a form of prayer, a daily practice of trust and surrender that connects us to something larger than our immediate concerns. In our modern rush to optimize and control every aspect of rest, the medieval approach offers a different perspective. That sleep is not a problem to be solved, but a gift to be received, not a period of unconsciousness to be endured, but a sacred journey to be honored. Brother Thomas and his fellow medieval sleepers understood something we're just beginning to remember, that the quality of our rest depends not just on the length of our sleep, but on the reverence and intention we bring to our nightly journey into dreams. Lady Eleanor of Whitmore awakens in her solar chamber as the first cock crows, her mind still swimming with the vivid dream that has visited her in the depths of second sleep. In her dream, she walked through a garden where roses bloomed in impossible colors, silver petals that chimed like bells, golden blooms that glowed with inner fire, and deep purple flowers that seemed to hold the entire night sky within their depths. Now, in the gentle pre-dawn light filtering through her leaded glass windows, she reaches for the small leather-bound book that every noble household keeps, a manual of dream interpretation, passed down through generations and blessed by the local priest. Medieval dreams were often interpreted as signs of future events, or divine warnings that someone needed to change their ways. This wasn't mere superstition, but a sophisticated system of understanding that viewed dreams as direct communication from the divine realm. Lady Eleanor understands that her rose garden dream carries significance far beyond its beautiful imagery. In medieval dream lore, gardens represent the soul's condition, while roses symbolize different aspects of divine love and earthly desire. The practice of dream interpretation in medieval times was both art and science, requiring deep knowledge of biblical symbolism, classical tradition, and local folk wisdom. Medieval people were intensely interested in dreams and their meanings, anticipating later psychological theories by nearly 8 centuries. Every symbol held layers of meaning, and a skilled interpreter could read dreams like a complex manuscript, revealing messages about health, relationships, spiritual growth, and future events. Lady Eleanor carefully records her dream in the margin of her interpretation book, using the simple ink and quill kept beside her bed for this purpose. The act of recording dreams was itself considered sacred, a way of honoring the divine messages received during sleep and ensuring they wouldn't be forgotten in the busy activities of the day. Her careful script describes not just the visual elements of her dream, but also the emotions and sensations that accompanied it. The feeling of wonder as she touched the silver roses, the sense of warmth from the golden blooms, the deep peace that came from gazing into the purple flowers' starry depths. In medieval understanding, dreams came in several distinct categories, each requiring different approaches to interpretation. The most revered were visio divina, direct divine revelations that came to saints, prophets, and occasionally to ordinary people during times of great spiritual need. Then came somnium significativum, symbolic dreams that required careful interpretation to reveal their meaning. Finally, there were insomnium, anxiety dreams caused by physical discomfort or daily worries, which were generally dismissed as having no prophetic value. Lady Eleanor's Rose Garden dream clearly falls into the category of symbolic dreams, requiring careful analysis of each element. She turns to the section of her book devoted to garden symbolism, where she finds that dreaming of a well-tended garden represents the soul in a state of grace, while unusual or impossible flowers suggest divine intervention in the dreamer's life. The 3 colors she witnessed each carry specific meaning. Silver represents purity and divine wisdom. Gold symbolizes spiritual enlightenment and material prosperity, while purple indicates royalty, both earthly and spiritual. The interpretation process was never undertaken lightly. Medieval people understood that misreading a dream's message could lead to serious spiritual or practical consequences. Lady Eleanor has been trained since childhood in the basic principles of dream interpretation, but for particularly complex or troubling dreams, she would consult Brother Marcus, the learned monk who serves as the castle's spiritual advisor and dream interpreter. His extensive library includes not only local tradition, but also translations of classical authorities like Artemidorus and early Christian dream interpreters like Gregory of Nyssa. Medieval dream interpretation addressed symbols from daily life. Animals, marriages, children, sickness, and conflict, as well as celestial elements like the moon, sun, stars, snow, and water. Each category had its own complex system of meaning. Animals in dreams, for instance, could represent different aspects of human nature. Lions symbolized courage or pride, depending on the dream's context. Doves represented the Holy Spirit or peaceful news, while wolves might indicate enemies or inner conflicts that needed attention. As Lady Eleanor continues her interpretation, she considers the emotional tone of her dream. Medieval interpreters understood that the same symbol could have vastly different meanings depending on the feelings it evoked. Her sense of wonder and peace while viewing the impossible roses suggests these are positive omens, perhaps indicating that her recent prayers for guidance regarding her daughter's marriage negotiations have been heard and will be answered favorably. The seasonal timing of dreams also influenced their interpretation. Eleanor's dream came during the feast of Saint Agnes in January, a time associated with purity and divine revelation. Medieval calendars noted which saints governed different aspects of dream interpretation, and timing a dream's occurrence within the liturgical year added another layer of meaning to its symbols. A dream of roses in January, when real roses lay dormant beneath winter's grip, suggests miraculous or divine intervention, as these flowers appear outside their natural season. Medieval dream interpretation also considered the dreamer's social position, spiritual state, and recent activities. Lady Eleanor's noble status meant her dreams might carry significance not just for her personal life, but for her household and the broader community under her family's protection. Noble dreams were sometimes shared with advisors and interpreted collectively, as they might contain guidance for important decisions affecting many people. The physical circumstances surrounding the dream mattered as well. Dreams that came during second sleep, after the purifying period of the watch, were considered more significant than those from first sleep. Dreams that occurred on feast days, during periods of fasting, or after special prayers carried additional weight. Eleanor's dream came after she had spent a watch period in prayer regarding her daughter's future, which strengthens the interpretation that the roses represent divine guidance about this important family matter. Medieval people also understood that dreams could be influenced by the dreamer's physical condition and daily activities. The Church eventually recognized dream interpretation as a significant source of income, with priests offering to interpret dreams for a price. However, the most trusted interpretations came from learned monks and nuns who approached dream analysis as a spiritual discipline rather than a commercial transaction. The complexity of medieval dream interpretation extended to understanding how multiple symbols interacted within a single dream. Lady Eleanor's garden wasn't just filled with unusual roses. She also remembers a small fountain at the garden's center, its water clear as crystal and singing with a voice like distant bells. In medieval symbolism, fountains represent the source of spiritual life, while singing water suggests divine communication. The combination of these symbols with the impossible roses creates a rich tapestry of meaning, suggesting that divine wisdom is flowing into Eleanor's life, bringing guidance that will bloom into beautiful results. Brother Marcus would likely advise Lady Eleanor to pay attention to any developments regarding her daughter's marriage negotiations over the coming weeks, as the dream suggests these will unfold more favorably than expected. The silver roses indicate that any decisions made will be guided by divine wisdom. The golden roses promise material as well as spiritual benefits, and the purple roses suggest that this marriage alliance may elevate the families, standing in ways not yet anticipated. Medieval dream interpretation also included practical guidance for the dreamer's daily life. Dreams were understood to provide not just prophecy, but also advice for moral and spiritual development. Lady Eleanor's dream of tending a magical garden might suggest that she should pay more attention to nurturing the spiritual life of her household, perhaps establishing more regular family prayers or increasing charitable activities within her community. The recording and sharing of dreams served important social functions in medieval communities. Dream narratives became part of family history, passed down through generations alongside other important stories. Particularly significant dreams might be recorded in monastery chronicles or family genealogies, becoming part of the community's collective memory and wisdom. As the morning light grows stronger, Lady Eleanor completes her dream interpretation and offers a prayer of gratitude for the divine guidance she has received. She plans to share the dream with Brother Marcus during his weekly visit, not because she doubts her interpretation, but because discussing dreams with learned advisors was part of the medieval tradition of communal discernment. Important messages from the divine realm were too significant to be kept entirely private. The medieval approach to dream interpretation reveals a culture that took seriously the possibility of divine communication through the sleeping mind. Rather than dismissing dreams as random neural activity, medieval people created sophisticated systems for understanding these nightly visions as meaningful messages deserving careful attention and thoughtful response. This respectful approach to dreams reflected the broader medieval understanding of sleep as a sacred time when the boundaries between earthly and divine realms became permeable. Dreams weren't merely personal experiences, but potential messages for the entire community, carrying guidance that could influence everything from individual moral choices to major political decisions. Lady Eleanor's careful attention to her rose garden dream exemplifies the medieval belief that divine wisdom comes to those who approach their sleeping visions with reverence, knowledge, and humility. In a world where literacy was limited and books were precious, dreams served as a democratic form of divine communication, available to all regardless of social status or education level. Though their interpretation required the kind of learned guidance that medieval communities carefully preserved and shared. The gentle art of dream interpretation reminded medieval people that sleep was never just an absence of consciousness, but a different kind of awareness, one that could receive truths unavailable to the waking mind. In honoring their dreams through careful interpretation and thoughtful response, medieval dreamers participated in an ongoing conversation with the divine that enriched both their personal spiritual lives and their community's collective wisdom. Young Margot, the baker's daughter, pulls her woolen cloak tighter as she hurries through the narrow streets of Carcassonne, her basket heavy with the evening's unsold bread that she will distribute to the poor before retiring for the night. The year is 1389, and as shadows lengthen and the first stars appear, she feels the familiar stirring of both anticipation and slight unease that accompanies the approaching night. Like every person in medieval Europe, Margot understands that sleep brings both blessing and vulnerability, a time when the soul travels beyond the body's protection and must rely on sacred rituals and blessed objects to ensure safe passage through the realm of dreams. People would nail horseshoes onto their doors to keep the devil out, or hang them above or at the foot of their bed to prevent bad dreams. As Margot approaches her family's modest home above the bakery, she touches the iron horseshoe nailed beside their door, a gesture she has performed every evening since childhood, a small ritual that connects her to generations of her family who have sought protection through this simple but powerful symbol. The medieval understanding of sleep protection arose from a worldview that recognized the night as a time of heightened spiritual activity. During the vulnerable hours of sleep, when the conscious mind relaxed its vigilant control, malevolent spirits, restless souls of the dead, and demonic forces might more easily influence or torment the sleeping person. This wasn't considered superstition, but practical spiritual hygiene. Just as one washed the body before sleep, one also needed to cleanse and protect the spiritual self. Margot's family has developed their own evening ritual, passed down through generations of bakers who rise before dawn and must ensure their sleep is both restorative and protected. Her mother, Dame Catherine, begins the protection process as the sun sets, walking through their modest dwelling with a bundle of burning sage and blessed salt. The sage, gathered from the monastery garden and blessed by Brother Francis, clears away any negative influences that might have accumulated during the day's work. The salt, blessed during Easter Sunday Mass, creates invisible barriers against harmful spirits. By the protection of Saint Joseph the Worker, by the intercession of Saint Agatha, who guards against fire, may our home be blessed with peaceful sleep, Dame Catherine murmurs as she moves from room to room. Her words aren't mere repetition but heartfelt prayer, each phrase carrying the weight of genuine faith and practical experience. The family has slept safely for generations using these same protections, and their effectiveness is proven by the peaceful rest and prophetic dreams that regularly visit their household. The protection ritual extends to the preparation of their sleeping spaces. Each bed in the house receives particular attention. Margot helps her mother sew small pouches of lavender, rosemary, and blessed salt into the mattress corners. These aren't merely pleasant-smelling additions, but specific spiritual defenses. Lavender repels nightmares and promotes peaceful dreams. Rosemary protects against malevolent spirits. And the blessed salt creates a sacred boundary around the sleeping person. Medieval sleep protection varied significantly based on social class, regional traditions, and specific spiritual threats. While noble families might employ elaborate rituals involving expensive relics and private chaplains, working families like Margot's relied on time-tested folk practices sanctioned by the church and enhanced with personal devotion. The effectiveness of these protections depended not on their cost, but on the faith and consistency with which they were employed. Witch bottles were protective charms dating back to the 1500s in England, containing urine, hair, or nail clippings of the person needing protection. While Margot's family doesn't use witch bottles, considering them too associated with forbidden magic, they do employ similar protective containers. Small glass vials filled with holy water, blessed herbs, and tiny scraps of parchment bearing protective prayers are hidden in the corners of their bedrooms, creating an invisible network of spiritual defense. The timing of protection rituals followed the natural rhythm of medieval life. As the last light fades and the family gathers for their simple evening meal, Dame Catherine lights the blessed candles that will burn throughout the first part of the night. These aren't ordinary candles, but special ones made from beeswax blessed during Candlemas, their flames serving as gentle sentries against the forces of darkness that grow stronger in the deep night hours. Margot's younger brother, young Pierre, requires special protection due to his age and sensitive nature. Children were considered particularly vulnerable during sleep, as their souls hadn't yet developed the full protective barriers that came with adult faith and experience. Pierre's bed includes additional safeguards. A small wooden cross carved by their grandfather hangs at the head of his bed, while a piece of bread blessed during the feast of Saint Blaise is sewn into his pillow. The blessed bread, believed to protect against choking and nightmares, demonstrates how medieval people integrated practical concerns with spiritual protection. The medieval understanding of sleep demons and nighttime threats was sophisticated and specific. The incubus and succubus, demonic entities that attacked sleeping people, required different protections than ordinary restless spirits or the souls of the unquiet dead. The word nightmare first referred to an oppressive spirit before it came to mean bad dream, with various cultures having different names for this phenomenon. Margot's family uses iron objects placed around the bed to repel such entities, as iron was universally believed to be repugnant to supernatural beings. Personal prayer formed the cornerstone of medieval sleep protection. Before retiring, each member of Margot's family recites specific prayers designed to invoke divine protection throughout the night. These aren't hurried recitations, but thoughtful, heartfelt requests for angelic guardianship during the vulnerable hours of sleep. Margot's personal prayer, taught to her by the local abbess, requests protection from Saint Michael the Archangel, invoking his warrior spirit to guard her dreams and ensure her soul's safe return to her body upon waking. The protection of dreams themselves required special attention in medieval practice. Since dreams were understood as divine communication, protecting them from demonic interference was crucial for maintaining clear spiritual guidance. Margot sleeps with a small piece of hematite, a dark metallic stone believed to enhance the clarity of divine dreams, while repelling false visions sent by malevolent spirits. This practice connects her to ancient traditions while remaining acceptable within Christian doctrine. Seasonal variations in sleep protection reflected medieval understanding of how spiritual threats changed throughout the year. During the 12 days of Christmas, when the veil between worlds was considered thinnest, Margot's family employs additional protections. Extra blessed candles, special prayers to the Christ child, and small branches of holly placed under their pillows. During Lent, when evil spirits were believed to be particularly active due to their anger at Christ's approaching resurrection, the family increases their evening prayers and adds fasting to their protective routine. Community protection played an important role in medieval sleep safety. Margot's neighborhood includes several families who coordinate their evening prayers, creating a network of spiritual protection that extends beyond individual households. When one family faces particular difficulties, illness, nightmares, or signs of spiritual attack, the entire community might gather for special evening prayers, their collective faith creating a powerful barrier against harmful influences. The effectiveness of medieval sleep protection rituals was regularly validated through personal experience and community testimony. Margot has noticed that when her family maintains their protective rituals consistently, their sleep is more peaceful, their dreams more clearly divine in origin, and their morning awakening more refreshed and energetic. When they grow careless about their evening protections, as sometimes happened during particularly busy seasons, the quality of their sleep noticeably deteriorates. Physical objects carried spiritual significance in medieval protection practices. The simple wooden rosary that Margot keeps under her pillow isn't merely a religious symbol, but an active protective device. Each bead has been blessed and carries the spiritual power of the prayers said over it. During the night, if she awakens frightened or disturbed, touching the rosary instantly reconnects her to divine protection and helps dispel any troubling influences. The medieval practice of communal sleeping meant that protection rituals often extended to multiple people sharing the same space. When traveling merchants or pilgrims stayed with Margot's family, Dame Catherine would extend the evening protection ritual to include these guests, understanding that spiritual threats to one person in a sleeping space could affect everyone present. This hospitality wasn't merely courtesy, but practical spiritual protection for the entire household. Water played a special role in medieval sleep protection, connecting earthly rest to divine blessing. Before retiring, Margot washes her hands and face in water that has been blessed during Sunday Mass, symbolically cleansing away the day's spiritual as well as physical contamination. This blessed water is kept in a special bowl beside the family's beds, available for protection if anyone awakens during the night feeling spiritually threatened or disturbed. The integration of sleep protection into daily life reflected medieval understanding that spiritual and physical health were inseparably connected. Just as the family took practical steps to ensure their physical safety during sleep, barring doors, banking fires, checking that children were warm enough, they also took equally practical steps to ensure their spiritual safety through blessed objects, protective prayers, and sacred rituals. As Margot completes her evening preparations and settles into her protected bed, surrounded by generations of accumulated spiritual wisdom and practical experience, she embodies the medieval approach to sleep as a sacred activity requiring both faith and prudent preparation. Her peaceful rest will be guarded not just by locked doors and family presence, but by an invisible network of divine protection that transforms her humble sleeping space into a sanctuary where body and soul can safely journey through the mysterious realm of dreams. Master Aldrich the physician moves quietly through the infirmary of St. Bartholomew's Hospital in London, his soft leather boots making barely a whisper against the stone floor as he checks on his sleeping patients. The year is 1423, and the pre-dawn hours find him observing what medieval medicine considered the most crucial time for healing: the deep phase of second sleep, when the body's natural restoration reaches its peak effectiveness. In his weathered hands, he carries a small oil lamp and a leather-bound journal, where he records the subtle signs that indicate whether his patients are receiving the healing sleep their recovery requires. Medieval physicians understood sleep as the body's primary healing mechanism, a time when the four humors, blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile, could rebalance themselves and restore the patient to health. Master Aldrich has spent decades studying the delicate art of sleep medicine, learning to read the signs that reveal whether a patient's sleep is truly restorative or merely the unconsciousness of illness. His trained eye notices details that would escape ordinary observation: the rhythm of breathing that indicates deep healing sleep, the subtle changes in skin color that show proper circulation during rest, and the peaceful expression that marks genuine restoration. The medieval understanding of sleep's healing power was both sophisticated and practical. Physicians recognized that different types of illness required different approaches to therapeutic sleep. Patients with fever needed cooling sleep environments with light covers and herbs that promoted gentle perspiration. Those suffering from melancholic conditions, what we might recognize today as depression or anxiety, required warming sleep spaces with heavier bedding and herbs that lifted the spirits and encouraged peaceful dreams. Master Aldrich pauses beside the bed of Brother William, a monk from the nearby abbey who arrived 3 days ago suffering from what medieval medicine termed brain fever, likely what modern medicine would recognize as severe exhaustion combined with anxiety. The treatment protocol focuses entirely on optimizing his sleep environment and ensuring the deepest possible rest. Brother William's bed has been positioned to face east toward the rising sun, following the medical principle that patients should align with the natural flow of celestial energy during their healing journey. The air around Brother William's bed carries the subtle fragrance of carefully chosen medicinal herbs. A small brazier nearby burns a mixture of chamomile, valerian root, and blessed vervain, plants specifically selected for their ability to promote deep, healing sleep while protecting the vulnerable patient from nightmares or spiritual disturbances that might impede recovery. Master Aldrich has learned through long experience that physical healing and spiritual protection must work together. A patient tormented by bad dreams cannot achieve the profound rest necessary for recovery. Medieval sleep medicine paid particular attention to the timing and quality of different sleep phases. Master Aldrich knows that the first hour after a patient falls asleep is crucial for setting the pattern of the entire night's rest. During this time, he ensures absolute quiet in the infirmary, dimming all lamps to the minimum necessary for safety, and instructing his assistants to move with careful silence. Any disturbance during this critical first hour could prevent the patient from reaching the deep healing states that follow. The physician's journal contains detailed observations about how different conditions respond to specific sleep treatments. Patients recovering from injuries heal fastest when their sleep includes vivid, positive dreams, a sign that the soul is actively participating in the body's restoration. Those suffering from digestive ailments benefit from sleeping slightly elevated, with warming herbs placed on their stomachs to encourage proper humoral circulation during rest. Respiratory conditions improve when patients sleep in rooms scented with eucalyptus and pine, herbs that clear the airways and promote deeper breathing during sleep. Medieval hospitals like St. Bartholomew's were designed specifically to optimize healing sleep. The infirmary's windows face east to catch the first healing light of dawn, while thick stone walls provide protection from disturbing noises that might fragment patients' rest. The beds are arranged to prevent patients from seeing each other during sleep, as medieval medicine understood that the sight of another's suffering could interfere with one's own healing dreams. Master Aldrich's approach to sleep medicine integrates physical treatment with spiritual care. Each patient's bed includes a small relic or blessed object chosen specifically for their condition. Brother William's bedside holds a piece of wood said to come from the true cross, believed to be particularly effective for conditions affecting the mind and spirit. The physician has observed that patients who maintain faith in their protective objects tend to sleep more peacefully and recover more completely than those who rely solely on herbal treatments. The timing of sleep treatments follows the medieval understanding of natural rhythms and celestial influences. Master Aldrich schedules the most intensive healing treatments to coincide with the patient's deepest sleep phases, typically occurring between midnight and 3 in the morning. During these hours, he might apply warming poultices, adjust herbal braziers, or perform gentle manipulations believed to encourage proper humoral flow while the patient remains unconscious and receptive to treatment. Medieval sleep medicine also recognized the healing power of dreams themselves. Master Aldrich keeps careful records of his patients' dreams, understanding that certain types of dreams indicate progress toward recovery, while others might signal complications requiring treatment adjustments. Dreams of clear water suggest that the patient's humors are purifying themselves, while dreams of ascending stairs or mountains indicate that the healing process is progressing upward toward full recovery. The physician's training includes the delicate art of dream interpretation as it applies to medical conditions. When Brother William reports dreaming of a garden where dead plants suddenly burst into bloom, Master Aldrich records this as a highly positive sign. The patient's soul is expressing confidence in his body's ability to recover fully. Such dreams often precede visible improvements in the patient's physical condition, allowing the physician to adjust treatments in anticipation of the healing process's next phase. Sleep medicine in medieval hospitals required careful attention to the communal aspects of rest. Master Aldrich has learned that patients recover faster when they sleep in harmony with others, their breathing naturally synchronizing into peaceful rhythms that promote deeper rest for everyone in the ward. He arranges patients thoughtfully, placing those with calming, positive energy near patients who are struggling with anxiety or pain, creating an environment where healing sleep can spread naturally from person to person. The preparation of healing sleep environments involved sophisticated understanding of sensory influences on rest quality. Master Aldrich oversees the preparation of special sleep-inducing incense made from frankincense, myrrh, and local herbs gathered at specific lunar phases. The scent creates an atmosphere that signals to patients' minds and souls that this is a sacred space dedicated to healing, helping them surrender more completely to the restorative power of sleep. Medieval physicians recognized that different seasons required adjustments to sleep healing protocols. During winter months, when the natural world entered its own healing rest, Master Aldrich increases the warmth around patients' beds and extends the periods of darkness that promote deeper sleep. Summer treatments emphasize cooling herbs and lighter coverings, working with the season's energetic abundance to accelerate the healing process while preventing overheating that might fragment restorative rest. The physician's understanding of sleep medicine extends to nutrition's role in promoting healing rest. Patients receive carefully timed meals designed to support optimal sleep quality without disrupting the natural fasting that occurs during deep healing states. Light broths flavored with sleep-promoting herbs are served in the early evening, while heavier, more nourishing foods are reserved for the morning when patients have completed their night's healing work. Master Aldrich's journal reveals his understanding that sleep medicine must address both the patient's immediate condition and their overall constitution. Some patients are naturally deep sleepers who achieve healing states easily, while others struggle with light, fragmented rest that impedes recovery. His treatments include constitutional remedies designed to strengthen each patient's natural ability to achieve restorative sleep, ensuring that the healing continues long after they leave the hospital. The medieval approach to sleep medicine recognized that true healing occurs when body, mind, and soul work together during rest. Master Aldrich's most successful treatments integrate herbal medicine, environmental optimization, spiritual support, and careful observation of natural rhythms to create conditions where the patient's own healing wisdom can operate most effectively during sleep. As dawn approaches and Master Aldrich completes his night rounds, he observes the subtle signs that indicate his patients have received genuine healing sleep. The improved color in their complexions, the deeper peace in their breathing, and the sense of restored vitality that comes with truly restorative rest. His practice demonstrates the medieval understanding that sleep itself is medicine, not merely a time when other treatments work, but an active healing force that, when properly supported and optimized, can restore health in ways that no other therapy can achieve. The gentle science of medieval sleep medicine reminds us that rest is not passive, but profoundly active, a time when the body's deepest wisdom operates to restore balance, clear toxins, and rebuild vitality. Master Aldrich's careful attention to his patients' sleep reveals a medical tradition that understood healing as a collaborative process between physician, patient, and the mysterious restorative powers that operate most freely during the sacred hours of night. Abbess Hildegard sits in her scriptorium as the final bells of lauds fade into the morning air, her quill moving steadily across parchment as she records the nocturnal wisdom that has come to her through years of observing sleep's sacred mysteries. The year is 1479, and in her 40 years of monastic life, she has become renowned throughout Christendom for her understanding of sleep as both natural phenomenon and divine gift. Her manuscript, De Somnis Sanctis, on sacred sleep, represents the culmination of medieval understanding about the spiritual and practical dimensions of human rest. Medieval natural philosophers and theologians understood sleep as one of God's most perfect creations, a daily miracle that restored both body and soul while providing a bridge between earthly existence and divine wisdom. Abbess Hildegard's writings synthesize centuries of accumulated knowledge about sleep's mysteries, combining classical learning, biblical wisdom, folk tradition, and her own careful observations of the sleeping patterns within her convent community. Sleep, she writes in her precise Latin script, is the soul's nightly journey home to God, a temporary return to the divine source from which all life springs. This understanding shaped medieval civilization's respectful approach to rest, viewing sleep not as unconsciousness, but as a different type of consciousness, one that could access truths unavailable to the waking mind and receive direct communication from the divine realm. The scientific understanding of sleep in medieval times was surprisingly sophisticated. Learned physicians and natural philosophers recognized that sleep occurred in cycles, with different phases serving different restorative functions. They observed that the deepest sleep occurred during the darkest hours of night, when the body's healing processes reached their peak effectiveness. This knowledge informed everything from monastic schedules to medical treatments, creating a culture that worked harmoniously with sleep's natural rhythms rather than fighting against them. Abbess Hildegard's observations of her sister, nuns provide rich detail about medieval understanding of individual differences in sleep needs and patterns. Sister Margaret, the convent's librarian, requires 9 hours of sleep to maintain her sharp mind for copying manuscripts, while Sister Joan, who tends the gardens, thrives on 7 hours, but needs a brief midday rest during harvest season. These individual variations were understood not as personal weaknesses, but as expressions of each person's unique constitution and divine calling. The medieval understanding of sleep's relationship to creativity and inspiration was profound. Abbess Hildegard notes that many of her most beautiful illuminated manuscripts came to her in dreams, arriving as complete visions that she simply had to transfer to parchment upon waking. This creative function of sleep was widely recognized. Architects, musicians, poets, and craftspeople all understood that their best work often emerged from the wisdom received during rest. Medieval sleep science also recognized the connection between sleep and moral development. The abbess writes extensively about how the quality of one's sleep both reflected and influenced one's spiritual condition. Those who approached sleep with reverence, proper preparation, and trust in divine protection consistently experienced more peaceful rest and more spiritually enriching dreams. This understanding led to the development of elaborate evening prayers and sleep preparation rituals designed to optimize both the physical and spiritual benefits of nightly rest. The seasonal aspects of medieval sleep understanding reveal sophisticated awareness of how natural rhythms influenced human rest patterns. During winter's long nights, Abbess Hildegard observes that her community naturally sleeps longer and more deeply, using the extended darkness for the profound restoration needed to sustain them through the challenging cold months. Summer's shorter nights bring lighter, more active sleep, with vivid dreams that seem to capture the season's abundant energy. Medieval scholars recognized that sleep served crucial functions for memory and learning. Abbess Hildegard notes that novice nuns who maintain proper sleep schedules learn their prayers and monastery routines much faster than those who sacrifice sleep for additional study time. This understanding led to educational practices that emphasized adequate rest as essential for effective learning, with study schedules designed to work with sleep's memory consolidating functions rather than against them. The medieval understanding of sleep's role in physical health was remarkably advanced. The abbess documents how different illnesses affect sleep patterns and how healing sleep can be encouraged through environmental adjustments, herbal treatments, and spiritual practices. She observes that patients who receive optimal sleep consistently recover faster and more completely than those whose rest is disturbed or inadequate. Medieval sleep science paid particular attention to the relationship between sleep and the aging process. Abbess Hildegard notes that elderly members of her community require different sleep patterns than younger nuns, often needing longer periods of rest, but experiencing it in shorter segments with natural periods of wakefulness. This understanding led to flexible schedules that accommodated these natural changes, rather than forcing all community members to conform to identical sleep patterns. The philosophical dimensions of medieval sleep understanding addressed profound questions about consciousness, identity, and the soul's relationship to the body. During sleep, medieval thinkers believed the soul loosened its connection to physical matter and could travel to spiritual realms, commune with angels and saints, and receive divine revelations. This understanding made sleep a crucial aspect of spiritual development, a nightly opportunity for growth in wisdom and grace. Abbess Hildegard's writings reveal medieval understanding of sleep as a form of prayer, not just the formal prayers said before retiring, but the entire process of surrender, rest, and renewal that occurs during sleep itself. The sleeping person participates in the cosmic rhythm of creation, experiencing the daily death and resurrection that mirrors both natural cycles and spiritual truths about eternal life. The social dimensions of medieval sleep understanding emphasized the communal aspects of rest. The abbess describes how the breathing patterns of sleeping nuns gradually synchronize, creating a peaceful rhythm that deepens everyone's rest. This observation led to careful attention to dormitory arrangements, with consideration given to how different personalities and sleep patterns could either support or disturb the community's collective rest. Medieval understanding of sleep's prophetic functions was sophisticated and practical. Abbess Hildegard maintains detailed records of significant dreams experienced by community members, noting patterns that seem to predict seasonal changes, community challenges, or spiritual developments. These observations weren't considered superstition, but careful attention to one of the ways divine providence communicated with the faithful community. The therapeutic applications of medieval sleep knowledge extended beyond medicine to include spiritual healing and emotional restoration. The abbess describes how sisters experiencing grief, anxiety, or spiritual dryness often find relief through carefully guided sleep practices that allow divine consolation to reach them during their most receptive hours. This therapeutic use of sleep represents a holistic approach to healing that addressed the whole person rather than just physical symptoms. Medieval sleep understanding also recognized the importance of sleep environment in determining rest quality. Abbess Hildegard's detailed observations about how different factors, room temperature, air quality, bedding materials, surrounding sounds, and even the spiritual atmosphere of the sleeping space, affect sleep quality led to sophisticated practices for optimizing sleep environments that promoted both physical restoration and spiritual receptivity. The integration of sleep wisdom into daily life reflected medieval understanding that rest and activity were equally important aspects of a balanced existence. The abbess writes that communities that honor sleep's sacred nature consistently experience better health, deeper spiritual insights, and more harmonious relationships than those that treat sleep as merely a necessary interruption to productive activity. As Abbess Hildegard completes her morning writing and prepares to join her community for the day's work, her manuscript stands as testament to medieval civilization's profound wisdom about sleep's mysteries. Her careful observations and thoughtful synthesis reveal a culture that understood sleep as one of God's greatest gifts, a nightly opportunity for restoration, revelation, and renewal that connected human beings to the deepest sources of wisdom and healing. The medieval understanding of sleep as sacred science offers modern people valuable insights about approaching rest with reverence, attention, and trust in its restorative powers, rather than viewing sleep as lost time or mere biological necessity. Medieval wisdom suggests that our nightly journey into dreams represents one of life's most precious opportunities for growth, healing, and connection to the divine source of all life and wisdom. In the gentle rhythm of medieval sleep practices, the careful preparation, the reverent surrender, the attentive interpretation of dreams, and the grateful return to waking consciousness, we find a complete spiritual practice that honored both human limitations and divine possibilities, creating space for the miracle of restoration that occurs when we trust enough to let go and allow sleep's ancient wisdom to work its nightly magic of renewal.